So I had a bit of a camera problem on my end for episode 12. So episode 12 YouTube version is just some still shots with the audio over. Apologize for that, but it's just one of those shit happens moments. There is a couple of pics there that might make you laugh if you do watch it though. Otherwise, enjoy. Cheers.
Privateer Heroes. This is the Outside Gate with Steve Hall on the L4 Media Network. We're talking US Moto and anywhere the conversation goes. With us today is the 600, Connor Olson. You may know Connor from his racing. You may know him from being a Fox guy. If you are any sort of a fan of the sport, you definitely know him for his cameos on the Weed Show. If you don't know what the Weed Show is, then I don't know why you're listening to me, that's for sure. So, how are you, man? Thank you very much for coming on.
Yeah, no worries. Doing good. How about yourself?
Yeah, good, man. Good. It's been actually been a hellish couple of days for me. I've been, the Aussie summer's kicked in and, we're getting had a new air conditioner fitted, and to save money, I did all the new ducting myself. So I've been crawling around in the roof in summertime without, so, but it was good. I'd say it was good, man. Once it was up and running, it was good to come inside and feel how good that air conditioning was after being in the roof all day. So.
Yeah, it's California winter here, and I'm wearing a sweatshirt, and it's probably 60 outside still, so.
Yeah. Cool. I was actually thinking about that, man, like I've got a lot of US friends and stuff, and a lot of them, they're starting to talk about snow and snowmobiles and all that sort of thing. But I guess you guys sort of don't get that in Cali. You don't get that white Christmas, Aussie kids always think, wow, about the white Christmas that you see. We Aussie kids see a lot of, US, all the movies, everything's sort of US based or Northern Hemisphere based, and the White Christmas is a real wow thing. Aussie kids, if they're lucky enough to go overseas as a young person, and that's a real wow thing to be in Christmas when it's snowing. So whereas here it's filthy hot.
It can get close here for sure. Like it like barely snows where I live ever, but like maybe 500 feet up last year, like up the sides of the mountains right by the house, like it snowed, so it can definitely get close. But I grew up in Denver, so I'm used to a super cold, snowy Christmas all the time. I lived there for 20 years, so I typically go back for Christmas every year, so I always get a cold, snowy Christmas for the most part.
Yeah, cool. I did notice that I noticed that you're listed on the Vault. Obviously, I checked your results on the Vault just to have a look when you were coming on the show. And I noticed Denver, and I thought, that made me a bit excited because I'm a big Broncos fan. So I don't know if you're a Broncos fan, but I'm tipping you probably are. Yeah, that's right. We better not spend an hour talking about football, even though I could. But it's nice to meet a Broncos fan, man. It's I'm actually, certainly we're both a lot happier than we were about 6 weeks ago. Anyway, hey. It's not looking too bad.
Yeah, I haven't watched much football lately, but especially when I was living there, when Peyton Manning was on the team, and like Russ Welker and Demaryius Thomas and all those guys, like I watched a lot of football then, and then I kind of moved away and didn't really keep up with football all that much, just in general. But
yeah. No, it's definitely something I'm a big fan of. The American football, which is pretty odd for an Aussie. But I'm a fan of a lot of things American, I guess, because certainly a fan of the moto scene over there. So a little bit about you, man. I've just got some questions and just some basic sort of stuff. I just wanted to touch on something that recent that I noticed. It was a very interesting thing that you posted about the adaptive riding day that you went to called Moto Demption. Man, that looks pretty awesome. Can you tell us a bit about that?
Yeah, it's cool. One of my really good friends that's like a my old boss and a big mentor to me. He started this thing with his one of his really good friends who's actually paralyzed also, and I've known both of them for like probably 15 years or so now, and I think he got hurt. His name's Aaron Hill that got injured, and then the guy that the other partner in Moto Dem, Chevy Gonzalez, and he's like been riding for a long time while paralyzed, so they've kind of just over the years like made different versions of different adaptive bikes and things that he can ride, and they really turned it into like a big nonprofit kind of cool helping hand thing. So they started probably about 3 years ago, and they're all based in Denver. So they do a handful of camps in Colorado, and they invite athletes that have been injured and just basically giving them a chance to ride again. And they have like full protocols with like the instructors that everyone has hand signals. There's one person in front, 2 people behind them. So if anyone falls, and it's definitely a really well put together deal. But yeah, last year we tied in with the Caselli Foundation, and they do a ride day at Fox Raceway here every year. So last year we tied it in here, and we invited I think we had maybe 3 new athletes last year, and then there was probably 4 or 5 guys that had ridden before, and we got a bunch of them out to ride again. And it's really just about giving those guys the redemption to like ride again, which is where the name comes from. So it's so rewarding and so awesome to see. Like, we always round up a good group of buddies to go help and be instructors in it, and like it gets for sure pretty emotional. Last year the one kid that rode, his name's Anthony Pachon. He's from the East Coast, and he came out and rode, I think, almost a year to the day of his injury. Was the first time that he rode, and his parents were there last year, and his brother, and like seeing all of them see him ride again was pretty awesome. So yeah, it's cool to get to help them, and we're definitely going to continue. Like, they're continuing pushing, and we're going to keep doing some more stuff here in California. And there's unfortunately, I guess there's never a shortage of injured athletes that want to ride again. Like, I mean, most of us, it's all we know. So most of the circumstance, like, they still want to ride and be involved in it. And I mean, even this year, I think it was like two weeks ago, probably. This one kid that was there is like, I don't know. He's like a world champion sit ski guy, like in the snow. He's from Thousand Oaks, and he's grew up racing dirt bikes all his whole life, and then got injured, and like, I think he rode a few months ago with them, and then came out this weekend, and like, I think he's done sit skiing. Like, he just wants to ride dirt bikes again. So it's kind of cool to see a lot of that stuff. And even this year, I mean, they had a world champion, I don't know exactly what they call it, if it's adaptive surfer or something, but he's an amputee, and he's from North Wales, and he was out here, and him and his fiance are just traveling the world doing these surf competitions, and he found out about this, and he was in Huntington Beach winning a world championship surfing competition, and then like 2 days later was riding a dirt bike for the first time. So yeah, it's a pretty cool deal for sure.
Very cool, man. Yeah, like it had me in the feels just looking at your Instagram posts, you know, and then I looked at some of the riders that were mentioned and had a bit of a look at them and that sort of thing. You know, it's pretty great, man, how the sport gets around people when they've had an injury or when they've had struggles, isn't it? You know, it's wild. It's like, I mean, everyone's just one big family, so everyone's stoked to get to help and be involved in stuff. And like, yeah, the last 2 years, anyone that I've gotten to like come and help, I'm like, hey, just come check it out, ride with us, like hang out. And then right at the end of it, everyone's like super appreciative and they're super stoked on it. They're like, count me in anytime you do this ever again. So yeah, it's really cool. Yeah. The old saying, I think it was Steve McQueen, goes back to Steve McQueen, I think, was that motorcyclists are good people. Yeah, still rings true. Yeah, really cool, man. I love it. So, dude, we might just dig in a bit to your how you got started. So little kid in Colorado. What was your first bike, and how did you get when did the bug bite?
Yeah, my dad, he didn't grow up racing or riding, but he I don't remember. I think it was before I was born or right when I was a kid. He was riding dirt bikes. And I have a brother that's 2.5 years older than me, so I don't remember any of this, but I think we came, my parents grew up in Southern California, so we came out here. We were probably visiting family or doing something, but we came out here and went to Glen Helen. And I think I was probably 3 years old. My brother was 5, and we just watched some race. Might have been just a random practice day. I don't even know what it was, but pretty much since then, I think I've been riding. I'm sure shortly after that, I got a JR50. Like, my brother got like a KTM Senior 50 or something back in the day, and then I think I maybe did one race or something in Colorado, and I know my second race ever was at Glen Helen, and I had just broke my thumb, I think, diving into the couch to catch a football or something, and we came out here, and I was planning on racing, or my parents were planning on having me race, and we actually cut my cast off on like the day before the race or something. I was supposed to get it off like that week or something, and I'm 4 years old or whatever. So we cut the cast off, and I raced at Glen Helen. This was my second race ever on a JR50.
That's so moto, man. That's like cutting the cast off for the Pee-wee race, man. That's a great story. I love that. That's so moto parents, You would have seen the meme where I think they're like ducks or chickens or something, and it's like normal parents, and the little chick's got a sore wing or something, and they're freaking out. Then it's like moto parents, and their legs snapped off, and they're going, "Oh, you'll be right,"
Yeah.
Shake it off, So,
yeah. My dad's told me that my whole life. He's like, if your arm falls off during the race, I'll go pick it up. Just don't quit. That's what he's always told me my whole life. Just never quit. Like, whatever. We'll go pick it up later.
Yeah. I love it. Yeah. And so then, just you want to just run us through a bit of your progression of the racing you did since then, I guess.
Yeah, I mean, really is a lot of stuff. A lot of stuff just around Colorado. Like, even still to this day, Colorado has one of the best local racing scenes in the whole country. There's a few little pockets, like Texas is pretty good. Southern and Northern California are okay. The Pacific Northwest is good, but like Colorado has a good group of tracks, like right around within 2-3 hours of Denver, and there's a lot of guys that are privateer national dudes that come out of Colorado, and but yeah, I mean, kind of just raced locally for a long time, and then I think probably when I got a little bit more serious, my dad, my brother, and I would go to Texas or California or something in the winter when it was too cold to ride there. So we pretty much just did that most of my entire life growing up, and I'd tried for Loretta's and stuff, and just like never. Something always happened every time, either at an area or regional. I would get hurt, so I only went to Loretta's once in my whole racing career, or racing time, I guess.
What class? What age were you at Loretta's?
I was probably 13, and it was in the 250C class, and like I'd been on a big bike. I think I'd been on a big bike off of an 80 for like 6 weeks.
Yeah, that's 13. You would, yeah.
Yeah, I maybe rode a 125 for like 2 weeks, and then rode a 250F for 4 weeks, and went to Loretta's on it, and like I got last the first moto, and then got like mid-pack the second 2 motos. So yeah, I never really did anything or worked out for any like amateur national kind of stuff really. Yeah. And then I mean, kind of just normal local stuff up until that point, and then like end of 2011 into 2012, I was doing a couple Pro-Am races like around the West Coast and stuff, trying to get my Pro-Am points. And I had gotten all of them. We were on our way to Arizona, and we were trying to figure out if I had enough points or not from the last race or something. And the guy told us that I needed to, I don't know, do one more class with like one more race or something to get the points. And the last moto of that weekend, I hit false neutral on like a 110-foot triple step up and shattered both my ankles. And then I was in the hospital, obviously, and then like flew home and all that stuff and got a bunch of reconstructive surgeries and 48 screws later and all that stuff. But on my dad's way home, I don't remember if it was Canfield or someone from MX Sports called him. It was like, yeah, he earned his license. Like, well, might not need it again. I might not ever walk again. So, but yeah, and then kind of just after I healed from that and kind of got back going, I think I tried for a couple nationals in like 13 and 14, and just wasn't even close. And then I made my first national in 2015 in Utah at Miller. And even that year, I broke my arm at Glen Helen. Actually, in 2015, I broke my arm at the second round of the nationals. And whatever that was, 6 or 8 weeks or something off. And I got cleared to hit jumps the Wednesday before I left for the Miller National. So I'd ridden maybe twice or something, and then went out there and qualified. And then, I kind of just like, I was in Colorado still at that point, so I would just kind of do a couple of the local nationals like here and there.
Would have felt pretty good to qualify for the first national you qualified. That would have felt pretty good, man. After not even having a successful Loretta's or anything like that as a youngster. That's a pretty big achievement to qualify for a national.
Yeah, it's cool. I mean, it was definitely a cool experience. Especially, I mean, like Miller was the weirdest track ever. Also, that one in Utah. But yeah, it was really cool to qualify, and like I think every national I've ever ridden, I tell everyone that was the roughest track I've ever raced. So I think the bar just keeps moving. But that track was super gnarly. So yeah, that was a really cool deal. Especially like, it's not like I'd been trying for a really long time. Like I think the 2 years before that, like 13 and 14, I maybe did 2 or 3 nationals, and like, now that I'm older and done a bunch and kind of had some success, I guess, from them, like, I realize how much harder it is to do one of them in June and then the other one in August. Like, you have zero barometer of kind of how to do it. So it's definitely a lot easier to do a couple in a row. At the level that I'm at, of kind of on the bubble of qualifying a lot of the time. So it's definitely, it was a challenge those first couple of years. And even after that, like, I had moved to the East Coast in probably 2016, I think. I moved to the East Coast, and then it was a lot of the same. Like, the whole series started, and it was on the West Coast, and then by the time I came to the East Coast, and, like, I've always had a full-time job. So being able to take off time to either ride or go to the nationals is somewhat challenging. So I would just do a couple races every summer, really. And then now that I moved back to the West Coast, it's a little bit easier, because like the first 3 or 4 rounds are typically here. So yeah, I mean, that's probably since 20, I guess, mainly when I moved to the East Coast, like I just ride on the weekends when I can, and then race a couple nationals a year, and that's like the only races I ever do. I'm turning 30 in like, I don't know, 16 days or something, and I've raced 1 vet race ever. Yeah. Like, as soon as I turn 25, all I do is a couple nationals a year. So I haven't I did amateur day at Redbud in the plus 25 class, and that's the only vet race I've ever done. And I'm almost to the plus 30 class now, so.
It's pretty amazing though, man. Yeah, you think about, do you ever think about when you know, obviously we'll talk about your job in a sec, you know, you've got a cool job and that, but, you know, you work in your day job and that. Do you ever just sort of think, like, you know, on the weekend, I was, you know, one of the 40 fastest guys in the country, in the world, just about, you know.
Yeah.
On that, that's what I was on Sunday. That's a pretty big thing, you know. Even though guys that like yourself, you know, you don't get the TV coverage and all that sort of thing. But like, well, you know, imagine if you were the, you know, like most of your results, I did look, I can't remember, but you know, you were in the you know 30s, you know. Say you're 30th. So if you're the 30th best of any other professional sport, you know, or a lot of other professional sports.
I wouldn't have a day job, I'll tell you that.
It's a massive achievement, isn't it? It is a massive thing, you know. So
yeah, it's pretty cool. Like, especially here with what I'm doing now, like for my job, I don't like telling my dealers and like other people, like, because I mean, to me, I'm getting 30th and stuff, so it's like not a big deal, but to anyone else, it's a cool thing.
It is.
So
very
like,
cool,
as soon as my dealers and like people out here started kind of realizing that what I do for work and racing, like I'll be going into a shop on a Thursday right before the national, and then like go back in on the next Tuesday or something, and they're like, "Why are you here?" Like, I still have a job. I got to do what I got to do. Like, the racing part's just kind of what I do for fun on some weekends in the summer. So.
Mm. Yeah. Did when you were you know, first on the weed show, I still remember it. Yeah, it was cool. You know, I love how organic the weed show is. You know, and I think you yelled out "weed show" or something like that, and as he does, he cruised over to talk to you and that sort of thing. Did you get a bit of traction out of that? You know, as far as did that gain you any sponsors, or did it gain you anything out of that? And then I think you're on a few times with Weege.
Yeah, it's kind of just a little bit of just kind of exposure, I guess, really.
Yeah.
But yeah, like it totally came up organically, which was funny. Like he just happened to be walking by, and like I've talked to him a bit here and there before, but like not enough that he would know who I am or anything really. But yeah, he was just walking by, and I yelled at him, and he came over and talked, and it was funny because that right then it was I think that was the first national I did when I lived in California and worked for Fox, and like the company made like not really a big deal about it, but they like kind of every week during the race season they send out like a line plan of what each guy is wearing for the weekend, so like if anyone asks us, we know what they're wearing and stuff, and like they included me in that, and it went to the entire company and the whole world of Fox. Yeah. So, like, I get this email, I'm like, I don't even know if I'm going to qualify. And, like, you know, every single person that works for Fox in the entire world knows that I'm racing. So now all of them are looking. And I think there was some special, like, 70, or some special edition gear set that we made, like, 74 of for that race or something, and, like, the marketing guys pulled some strings and like got me this special gear, and then like the weed show thing comes out, and like all of my friends that from all over the country, from living everywhere, like all these guys start texting me, and then like I was that Friday night, I'm like, I better fucking stop.
You better perform. Yeah, that's it.
This is gonna be embarrassing. So
I can't remember how you went that weekend, but how did you go?
I think it was, I don't know, like 27-31 or something. Like,
yeah,
it was like every single national I've ever raced. It was a struggle, but I mean, it was. I think I made it right out of practice. I don't even remember, so I didn't even have to go to the LCQ. So, but yeah, it was cool. It just kind of, I mean, that thing just kind of turned into really just kind of a funny joke between like all the Racer X guys, and because Jason Thomas was hell-bent that we worked it in. We're at Fox Raceway. He's talking to a Fox employee, and like, so it kind of like had some wheels and took off, and got to. I kind of got to know. I knew Kiefer for a little bit before that, just riding with him, and then like got to know Mathis and a lot of those other guys, and all of that stuff. So yeah, it just kind of turned into a sort of a funny running joke for the most part.
But it's cool, man. It's cool, you know, like you're a good example of the riders that, you know, you've got a good personality and you holler out at Weege and all that sort of thing, you know, and it benefits you somewhat. So, you know, it's it's a lesson to learn for young ones, you know. So
yeah, I had a handful of people that even still they like come up to me at a race, like I'll be at Washougal or in Colorado or something, and they're like, "Oh, you're that guy from the Weed Show." So yeah, it's always funny, and like even people at dealerships that like I would have no idea that they watch it that heavily, but I'll walk in and they're like, "Oh yeah, we saw you on the Weed Show last weekend," and so yeah, it's pretty funny. It just keeps going too. So yeah, it's always a running joke.
Cool. At Nationals, man. Did you, especially the first few, did you ever find yourself like freaking out a bit when you lined up on the gate with some of the guys you lined up with? You know, did you end up you know, obviously you're not getting good gate picks, so you're probably a fair way away from the top riders. But did you ever find yourself close to one and be just like, what the fuck am I doing? You're like, you know, this guy's just up there.
Yeah, I guess to the first part of that question, like, no, I never really, like, pay attention to it because to me, like, the nerve-wracking part for me and where I kind of, like, freak myself out is practice. Like, and most of the time I'm in the B group, and even if I'm in the A group, like, you'll maybe get, if you're going on a decent pace and not doing, like, a ton of slow laps in a row, like, you get passed by 4 or 5 of them, and they're going so much faster, like you don't even have time to process who they are. And then, yeah, like you said, on the gate, like, or I guess, but to like through practice after that, like I could care less after that. Like I'm just going to go out there and try to survive for an hour and 10 minutes.
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, by the time the race comes along, like I'm not worried about it. I'm probably more calm on a national gate than any other time, really, than pretty much everything. But yeah,
you've already sort of achieved. Is that because you've already sort of achieved what you wanted from the day?
Yeah, I'm already there.
Yeah,
so
yeah.
I'm not going to battle with them anyway. So like, there's no point.
Yeah.
By the time I'm in the first turn, they're already through the second turn. So like, I only see them when I get lapped. So it's not, not really even something I pay attention to. But the funny time is when, like, it's not funny for them, but if they don't finish the first moto or crash out or something, and then they line up on the gate for second moto next to all of the degenerate privateers at the end, that's always funny because, like, they're all pissed off that they're there, and we're all stoked that we're even on the gate. So, like, a lot of the time we're all buddies, so we're all sitting there bullshitting and talking, and, like, the other 2/3 of the gate, like, no one's saying a word to each other because they're all serious and doing it for money. So, it is pretty funny with when some of them happen to end up outside and they're out there with all the privateers.
Yeah, cool. I love it, man. Yeah, like even just talking to you I can sort of I can picture what you're saying, you know. That's what I was saying. Like, you know, average Joes like me, what you've achieved is fucking amazing, you know. Even though sometimes you guys don't feel like that, you know, compared to the guys right up the front. And so your job at Fox, man. You want to just run us through a little bit about, look, obviously working for Fox it's cool, man. Like iconic brand, all that sort of thing. So how did that come about, and maybe a bit about what you did, you know, work-wise before that and that sort of thing?
Yeah, I mean, it's kind of, a lot of it's sort of right place, right time, and like a lot of who you know also. But yeah, like my first job ever, I was working at a dealership, and I worked at a dealership for I don't know, 6 or so years in Colorado, and like worked at one and then worked at another for a little bit, and then I started helping out the guy that runs Motodemption now. And I worked for Spy, the agency represented like Spy and Stance and a couple other brands in the snow industry and stuff, and I was running the motorsports segment for him while he was doing like snow and optical and stuff. So I did that for probably 3 or 4 years, and then I just happened to like one day just kind of looking for the next thing, and I saw there was a Fox job open on the East Coast, and I obviously knew the Fox rep there at the time from he worked at the shop that I worked at before he did Fox, and then so I had asked him and the manager at the time if I should go for it, and they kind of like steered me in the right direction on sort of what to do and how to go about it. And then yeah, it was funny because my soon-to-be boss, I guess at the time, he actually flew to the Colorado National, and I met him on Friday in between track walk and tech inspection. I met him at some Mexican restaurant down the street from the track, and that was like my interview.
Yeah.
So that was like.
Were you already in Fox? Were you in Fox gear that weekend?
Yeah, I was already wearing all the Fox and ship stuff and everything, so
yeah,
it was a little easier of a transition for sure. But
yeah, I was just thinking if you'd been running a different brand, you would have been scrambling to get some Fox gear because these guys
for sure. But yeah, so like we had an interview on Friday, and that was one of the first nationals I think I made that year. So yeah, I qualified for that and like did that one, and then that next Monday. He called me and said, we're going to give you the job. We want you there ready to work in 2 weeks. And I think I was maybe 22 at the time or something like that, 23. And I never lived more than 5 minutes from my parents and like family and everyone I know. And I'd never even been to the East Coast at the time. So I found a house on Craigslist, packed all my shit up, and drove to South Carolina, and my parents came out there, moved me in, and then hopped on a plane and went back, and then I was there for probably I think I was there for about 4 years on the East Coast, just doing the same job I'm doing, but out there. And I did that for a little bit, and then I went to
pretty good little moto scene out. Yeah, well, not even little. It's a good moto scene over there as well too. So
for sure, yeah, I was close to club, and at the time JGR was up there, and but there's a good group of dudes all out there, and I mean it's even bigger now with all the guys in North Carolina and South Carolina and stuff. So yeah, it was a good little area for sure. I loved it out there. It was super cool and a very slow pace of life for sure. So it was pretty cool to just experience something different, really, from like growing up in Colorado my whole life, and I knew how to get anywhere and go anywhere and figure it all out. And then I moved to the East Coast by myself and didn't know a single person. My boss lived in Massachusetts, so like he wasn't around, so I just kind of had to figure it all out. And I definitely grew up real quick, which was a good, in hindsight, like looking back at it, it was awesome. And but yeah, I did that for a couple years, and then I actually left and went to Alpine Star and was doing that deal for about 2 years, and that was it was really cool because it was a lot of travel, and like I got to go everywhere. I went to pretty much every race to tracks I've never been to. I got to go to MotoGP and Moto America stuff and go to all these dealers and different places in the country that I've never even been to. So now I've been damn near everywhere in the country pretty much. So, but yeah, then they ended up moving me out to California, and I was still doing the same job, but I came out to California, and then a couple months or so, maybe a year after that, I had heard kind of through the grapevine that something was changing with some of the people down in my area with Fox, and I made some calls, kind of figured out what was going on, and then next thing you know, I got hired back, and yeah, it's definitely, obviously Southern California is kind of like the hotbed for motocross, so it was one of those rep jobs that I think a lot of the reps in the entire country kind of strive for, something in this area. So,
Yeah, for
yeah,
sure.
I mean, like
yeah.
I said, it's kind of right place, right time, one of those kind of deals.
Yeah, yeah. So it's basically you're a rep, so you go, So what's your week look like? Mostly like store visits and that sort of thing. Is just your traditional rep job.
Pretty much, yeah. I mean, we just go into dealers and help with whatever's needed between ordering, returns, merchandising, like training, kind of all that kind of stuff. So, I'm definitely fortunate with my territory. I have one of the smaller, driving-wise, I have one of the smaller territories in the country. But I also cover Hawaii and Guam. So that's pretty rad to be able to.
That's pretty cool.
I don't visit Guam often, but I get to go to Hawaii a couple times a year. So, it's cool to get to go out there. And I've never been either. So now I go 2 or 3 times a year most of the time. So it's, But that's pretty much it. You just kind of, a lot of email, phone call, all that kind of stuff all the time. But a lot of driving, that's for sure.
Yeah. Dude, I don't even know where Guam is. The only reason I even know of Guam is because of when Kiefer and Doug Dubac ride for Guam.
Oh, yeah.
It's actually, that's the only reason I even know about Guam. So,
it's way closer to you than it is to me, I'll tell you that.
Is it really? Okay.
I think it's like on a map, it's in between Japan and Australia.
Okay. Yeah, geez. So, it's obviously it's a US territory. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. After the show, I'm gonna have to look it up. So you fly to Guam sometimes?
No, I don't go over there, but I do.
You don't go there, but you just go to Hawaii. Yeah.
Yeah, it's the cost to get there is so far outside of the norm.
Yeah. Cool. Guam, huh? I'll have to find out about it. That's all right. Do you have any sort of involvement with any of the pro riders with Fox and that sort of thing? Do you have any involvement with that side of things?
No, not on like a work side. I obviously I know some of them and I'm friends with some of them, but on a work side, no. We have a full team of guys that do all of that between like the product guys.
Kenny Duffy and those sort of guys. Yeah.
Kenny I actually lived with Kenny for the last 3 years. Him and I were both at Alpine Star, and then we both left and went to Fox.
Yeah.
So I was not involved in all of it, but I was involved because it was inside of our house. So I always saw all of that and was kind of just a fly on the wall for a lot of that stuff. But I don't do any of that stuff day to day.
Is that something you'd like to do?
Initially I did. Actually, when I was initially leaving Fox, that was something I thought I wanted to do, and then it just kind of didn't work out for certain reasons. And then now that I'm at where I'm at, I'm super stoked with what I'm doing. So it definitely it is a very cool job. It's very like fun and cool, and you get to travel and go all these places and deal with all this stuff. But like, with the travel part of it is what I don't want to do. I like that I'm home every night and close to home all the time, especially like this time of year and even like into the end of the season. Like Kenny was in Paris and then goes to Florida every couple of weeks to do testing stuff. So I don't envy the part of the travel that he has to do, but the job wise, his can be a little bit more exciting than spreadsheets and selling gloves and stuff for sure.
Yeah, I guess a job like what Kenny does, it's like everything. It's like mechanic jobs, the truck driver jobs, all that sort of things. Like, I mean, they're all super cool, but geez, a hell of a grind keeping up with the, with the series and and all the events all year. And they keep adding more of them, not less of them. So it's
for sure.
Yeah,
and they always have to go to some extent. Some Fox riders at the destination, so someone has to go to that. Someone will go to off-season stuff, and it's he, especially Kenny, like he's got to be one of the top Delta customers in the country for sure. So he definitely, anytime I've flown to a race or flown back from a race with them, he's always at the front of the plane and I'm always at the back. So.
Yeah. That's right. Yeah, definitely. I don't know if Kenny's married or single or what, but yeah, that's it's. I think a lot of those jobs are a good single man's job. So.
For sure, yeah. Especially like even more so the one that when I was doing it with Alpine Star, like it was a lot of during the week travel and weekend event travel. So there was a lot of times where I was definitely single at that point. I was gone. I'd be gone 6 weeks at a time. Now like being engaged and living together and all of that, like I don't think that job would go over very well anymore.
No, I wouldn't think so. Yeah, it'd take a special sort of woman to tolerate that, wouldn't it? You know, that's all.
Yeah.
You don't see too many married guys doing those sort of jobs. Yeah.
Yeah, that's for sure.
What's the plans for your racing this year? Or is there any?
Yeah, I think I'm going to do kind of a little bit of the same. Just do probably I'll probably do the first 3 rounds and Washougal. Just all the stuff on the West Coast. So it starts here in Southern California and then goes to Hangtown and then Colorado. So it's always nice to, this one's easy because the track's 40 minutes from my house. And then Hangtown's always fun just because I have a lot of buddies up in NorCal. So it's nice to get to see a bunch of people, and that track's pretty fun. I know most people hate it, but it's a pretty fun track. And then Colorado's always easy because it's a 15-hour drive, but my family still lives there, so I get to stay with them and see them because I don't get to go out there all that often other than some holidays and stuff. So it's nice to get out and see all of them and friends and everyone that I grew up with. So that one's always a nice one to hit. I missed it this year because I got hurt at Hangtown, so I didn't get to go to Colorado, but yeah, that's kind of the plan. I've been
yeah, what did you do at Hangtown? I can't remember. You broke something, yeah?
I ended up kind of a laundry list of everything, honestly.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I had two really big crashes, and like the main reason was I sucked at the first round here at Fox Raceway. So I went to Hangtown and like was just riding way too hard because I didn't do good the weekend before.
Yeah.
And I crashed in the first practice, I think. Pretty big and hurt like both shoulders and hit my head. And then the second, or in the LCQ, I crashed on the start. And if you know that start, like right through like the whole shot line, pretty much going about as fast as a 450 can go. And the one dude that fell right in front of me, and I just hit him and just went 30 feet or so. And I think I ended up like bruising, and I did some rib stuff and some shoulder stuff. So I was not about to drive 15 hours to just struggle again in Colorado at altitude also.
Yeah. Do you find when you go back to Colorado, the altitude affects you because you grew up there?
Yeah.
Is it? Yeah, it still does, even though you grew up there. So you sort of lose it. I guess.
Yeah, I normally like kind of get back used to it. It only takes like a day maybe. But even if I go home, like we're going home for Christmas next weekend, the first couple times I like walk up the stairs at my parents' house, I'm like, oh, I need to sit down for a second. Yeah, I think it takes a little bit to like remember that you need to breathe more, I guess. But yeah, it's typically, especially like with nationals and stuff, I'll usually get there on like Thursday night or Friday morning. So you have a full day of like setting up and working on the bike and walking the track and stuff to kind of get used to it. So by the time Saturday comes around, it's not very noticeable. But yeah, it was always crazy living there and you didn't even notice it. So then going to sea level and your bike's way faster and you can breathe easy, and it's definitely a big difference. I guess it's a big difference either direction, but
Yeah. Yeah. It's one of those things that, Aussies, we can't sort of imagine it. We don't have a lot of elevation, and what we do, wherever we do have elevation, it's all bush, mountain ranges of bush, national parks, that sort of thing. There's no high cities. There's no whole states that are high up.
Yeah.
So, you might trail ride to some elevation, over just a couple of hours in the mountains, but you're not setting up to race at elevation like anywhere at all. So, it's something that we only sort of hear about, particularly from Thunder Valley. Yeah, cool. Is there any tracks that you'd like to sort of one day would you like to get over and do a red bud or something like that? Is there any sort of dreams like that?
I think I've raced out of the current schedule. I think I've raced everything but Southwick.
Okay, I see you have done a red bud.
Yeah, I haven't qualified for red bud, but I've tried red bud a couple times. I did Budds Creek. I've done High Point. I've done Unadilla once. I've done Millville. So I think I've done everything but Southwick. And honestly, I don't have any desire to do Southwick either.
You're not down for that sand?
No, I haven't ridden much sand in my life. And that track just looks brutal. So I'll stick to the West Coast stuff.
Cool. What's your favourite track of all the ones you've ridden in?
Definitely, I think Washougal. Washougal's a lot of fun. I tell people this all the time, but I think that's the only time I've ever raced a national, and during the race, I'm like, shit, this is fun. Most of the time you're just dying and trying to survive and
survival mode,
you're just trying not to crash or something, and it's super gnarly and rough, and I think that's probably why Washougal is actually fun, is because it's not terribly rough, but just going through the trees and up the hills, and it's very similar dirt to Southern California and Colorado and stuff, so it just feels normal. A lot of the other ones, especially the East Coast stuff, it just feels very foreign to what I'm used to riding, and even when I lived on the East Coast, it's so different on a national day. So I think Washougal's got to be the one. That one's my favorite. I think a lot of it is the jumps too. A lot of the nationals, everything's super peaky, and it's really scary, especially 30 minutes into a moto and the second moto when it's in the middle of the summer. So I think Washougal's nice because
then you're feeling a little bit weak, and and you still got to hit that stuff.
You're trying to stay out of getting lapped at that point and trying to pass people or do whatever, and you got 2 laps to go, and you got to hit a 120-foot jump that's all rutted and gnarly on the downside. Those ones are never really that much fun. Especially Ironman's always like that. There's a bunch of huge jumps and the track's super gnarly, and so it's scary the entire time. But I think that's why a good amount of people like Washougal, because it's a little bit more mellow, a little more laid back. It's later in the season. The weather's nice, the views are cool, it's just a super rad area. So I think overall, track included and just where you are, it's a really, really awesome race to go to for sure.
Yeah, it's always one of my favourites to watch. And I think it just comes down to, it's just a cool looking place,
Yeah.
A lot of history there as well, and just, and it's also, it's sort of, it's the only track that's sort of in that. It's the only time that the series goes that way, goes northwest.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's it. That's the one trip. I know a lot of you hear a lot of privateers get the shits up about Washougal and the timing of it, because it's such a big travel for them. In the schedule, it's so far from everything else, but it's. I guess that's just something they've got to deal with, because it's never going anywhere, is it? It's such a cool place,
Yeah.
That's the way. Is there any other sort of racing that you'd like to do, man? Would you like to? you've done Baja before. Is there obviously desert racing? Is there anything else, off-road things, rally things, anything like that you'd like to do in the future?
It's a good question, actually. I don't think so. I think like doing the Baja races made me not want to do that ever again.
So scratch that itch a bit, maybe, and yeah.
Yeah, I kind of got that out of the way.
Yeah.
I mean, the like hard enduro stuff looks awesome, but I'm not talented enough on a motorcycle to do that. I've done some like trail riding, especially like I've done some stuff in Hawaii, and it's so much gnarlier than the guys that like Manny and Billy Bolt and those guys make it look. So that stuff looks cool. I don't want to try it.
Yeah, that's about it. Good to watch.
Yeah. I mean, I think like something like a GNCC or something sounds fun. I'm not a big fan of a lot of the like desert and hare and hound and work stuff out here just because it's so fast and there's rocks and like the margin for error is tiny when you're going that fast. So I think some of the like East Coast off-road stuff will be a little bit more fun just because it's slower and I know there's still trees and rocks and it's hot and all that stuff, but going like 40 through a section sounds better to me than going like 70.
Absolutely, yeah. Yeah, the risk, as you get older and that sort of thing, the risk versus reward, I guess it is, isn't it? Yeah. And that desert, that something goes wrong in a desert race, man, and it's like it's a matter of how many bones you're breaking, not are you getting up. Whereas
for sure,
GNCC, you bounce off clip a couple of trees in the GNCC, and good chance you're just getting up, sore and bruised and that, but you're probably going to get up.
Yeah.
Yeah. So no, I definitely hear you there, man. Yeah, cool. I got a few other. Just before I move on to some of my other sort of random questions, man. Is there anything you want to share about what Fox is up to or anything like that?
Yeah, I mean, I guess the biggest thing for us is we just launched a new helmet, or two new helmets on the high end side that like Kenny and Adam were wearing a little bit through the end of the outdoors, but primarily most of the guys, pretty much everyone's in it now. But yeah, we have a really cool new high-end helmet, the V3RS. That's a full carbon composite shell and has the newest version of MIPS in it, called MIPS Integra Split. And it's a really badass helmet, and like it's priced really well also. But one of the cooler things is like all the stuff that it comes with. It comes with like a sun visor extension, a full mud visor extension with foam. It comes with a hydration tube mouthpiece. It comes with a thicker and thinner cheek pad and like a bunch of these accessories that no other brand, like, I mean, I guess even us up until now, like no one even offers them. Like you can't even buy them from people. So it's pretty cool that we have this new helmet that's on like the top end of the safety spectrum, but it comes with a bunch of stuff that you can't even buy from everyone else. So that's been a really cool product for us, and it came out in I think the end of October. So yeah, it's been a couple months in market, but it's been a really, really awesome new product for us for sure. It always sounds biased coming from me, but it is definitely one of the best helmets I've worn ever.
Yeah, well, dude, what you're saying, like a mud visor and different size cheek pads, like, man, it sounds. Now that I hear that, I'm amazed. Like we didn't always have it, because it's such good ideas, how many moto dads out there perfected the art of putting the foam on the visors and taping an extra lens on the end of them and all that, all that sort of thing. Got that down. Each dad's got it down to a fine art of how they've done that and that sort of thing. And then the cheek pads, man, is often what'll put a person off a helmet, especially if you're a bit of a fat-headed guy like me. Like you put on a helmet and you're all smushed up like this and that sort of thing. So yeah, it makes heaps of sense there. Yeah, cool. So Kenny and Adam are already wearing them, you say? So you'll probably see a lot of the guys wearing them this year.
Yeah, they started like, I don't know, maybe midway through outdoors or towards the end of outdoors. And then, yeah, I know like they're pretty much in it. Everyone's pretty much in it now. Shimoda's wearing it, and Craig is in it, and then a bunch of the amateur guys and any of the European guys that are Fox helmets, or Fox gear and helmets are also wearing it too. So, yeah, it's definitely out there. Pretty much anyone that's a sponsored Fox athlete is wearing it now.
Yeah, cool. Cool, that's good, man. That's good. Right, got some random questions here for you. Let me think. Which one will we go for? What skill would you love to have? So you say you got to swap a current skill for something that you love to have. Like, for instance, I'd swap one of my current skills to be able to shred a guitar. You know, is there anything like that you just love? Geez, I wish I could do that. You know.
I would say probably something along the lines to make me actually good at golf.
Yeah.
I think there's enough money in the sport of golf that even if you're like the 200th best player in the world, you can definitely make a lot of money. So I would say golf. Like, I'm not terrible at golf, but I'm not good either. So yeah, I think I'd swap some skill for golf.
Cool, man. So you're obviously a keen golfer then. So is that sort of your thing? Is that your sort of thing that you get the most enjoyment of? That's not to do with dirt bikes.
Yeah, pretty much. That's kind of about it as far as hobbies like that are not dirt bike related. Like, I ride bicycles and work out and all that kind of stuff. But yeah, golf would be the main thing that like is not involved in any of that.
Yeah.
Just kind of getting out, getting away, having a few beers or something, and just playing with the boys. And that's definitely, definitely kind of the escape from work and racing and all that kind of stuff.
Cool. That's the go. And are you a music guy? You into music? Well, you got a guitar in the background. That probably answers the question. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, that's a trophy, not a playing guitar. It's a trophy, but I definitely enjoy music. I'm not musically inclined by any means.
Yeah.
But yeah, I definitely enjoy music. It's one of the things like pretty much at all times, especially even with my fiance, like pretty much at all times there's music playing. It's either a podcast or music. Like, with the amount that I drive, I have to listen to podcasts because there's not enough music in the world.
Not enough songs. Yeah. I'm a bit the same.
At least.
Yeah. Cool.
But yeah, like even cooking dinner or working on bikes in the garage or whatever, like there's always music playing. Something either punk rock or alternative or country or whatever.
Yeah.
Kind of something at all times for sure.
What's your favourite album? What's the old question of, you got one album to listen to for the rest of your life? What's that album?
I'd have to say there's a Orange County band called Movements.
Yeah.
And they have an album called Feel Something that was, I think it just came out right when I found the band. And then they didn't have another album for like 3 or 4 years, so I pretty much only listened to that for 3 or 4 years. So.
What genre is that?
It's like punk rock, alternative, that kind of vein of music. But I think I pretty much listened to that exclusively for probably 3 years, so I think I could keep doing that for the rest of the time.
Cool. Love it. A lot of punk rock fans in the moto industry.
For sure,
goes hand in hand a bit, does it? Although a lot of the younger guys, you're young, but the even younger guys, it seems like a lot of rap, a lot of modern rap is pretty, is pretty right up there. When you're a little guy, what did you want to be when you grew up?
I would have to say probably a professional motocross rider.
Yeah,
the fact that I'm still doing it and gone this far with it. But, yeah, I mean, honestly, I think that's pretty much the only thing when I was young, the only thing I wanted to do, and probably the only thing I was good at also.
Yeah, and then it's like I often always make the joke, like my life and my history, like I've done so many different things, you know, I lose count, but I always say I still don't know I'm 47, I still don't know what I want to be when I grow up. Is that like, for you, is there, you know, what's your future goals? You know, what are you still, you know, what do you want to be when you grow up more?
I think I'm kind of in the same boat as you. Like, I mean, thankfully I'm in a good career position, that a lot of guys stay in a role like this for 20 something years. So, yeah, I think like financially and like career wise, I could be where I'm at. Obviously there's always the goal to move up the ladder and do something more with that. But yeah, I think, I don't know that I ever would have thought when I was 16 or whatever, starting at the motorcycle dealership, that I would care as much as I do about a sales job. But, I think it's one of those kind of deals, like I've found it or it found me or whatever, and I'm good at it, and there's actual money in it. So yeah, I think that's kind of something just along the vein of like what I am doing. I don't really see much change or anything happening, I guess you could put it that way.
Yeah, cool. What does your fiance? What's your fiance's name?
Lisa.
Lisa. What does Lisa do?
She's a data analyst, which is like the opposite of what I obviously have to look at a bunch of numbers and spreadsheets and stuff, but that's like the worst part of my job. And that's her entire job. Yeah. So I don't know how she does it, but she loves it. And, she gets to work from home. So she works remote, gets to hang out with the dog all the time and do stuff around the house, and kind of is a little bit on her own schedule just because she's at home. So yeah, she can kind of do all of that kind of stuff when I'm gone from 6 a.m. to 7 p.m. or something like that. She gets to sit here, so I'm a little envious of that sometimes for sure. But yeah, the data and pricing and Excel spreadsheets, I'm not envious of that for her for sure.
No, neither would I be, man. No, the little bit of paperwork I have to do drives me insane. Yeah, that's it. No worries, man. And we'll go one more. Who's your celebrity hall pass, man? So if Lisa gave you a hall pass, who's your celebrity hall pass?
Oh. That's a good one. I hope she doesn't listen to this, because I'm going to hear about it for a long time.
I'm going to get you in trouble.
Yeah,
it's all hypothetical.
I'd have to say Margot Robbie.
Yes, I should have called the prediction. Because I reckon so many guys that I asked that, anyone that's sort of, about your age, I would have tipped Margot Robbie, and I can't argue, she's too young to me. I'd probably be more interested in her mum, but she's Margot. She's a hell of a looker. Yeah, that's right. Yeah. I can't remember her on Aussie TV when she was young. She was probably on one of the shows I didn't watch, but one of the crappy, drama series, Aussie drama series that I never watched. I would have been out riding my motorbike when they were on in the afternoon.
Yeah.
But I only really knew of her when she hit it big time in the States. So, but yeah, she's pretty cool chick too. When you see her on interviews and that, like she hasn't lost her Aussiness. That's for sure. She's very sort of down to earth, very cruisy sort of attitude, man. Yeah, cool, man. Thanks heaps for doing this. Now, give us your best Aussie accent.
Oh, I don't know. The only Aussie accent I have is with a lot of profanity in it.
That's all right, man. You can go with that. Yeah,
I guess the C word for you guys is like normal. So
yeah, that's what me and my best mates would call each other. That
Yeah, I have a bunch of buddies from South Africa and stuff. So it's not as common for them, but we all just have pretty much Australian accents anyway. But shit, now I'm on the spot. I can't even think about how to do it. Oh, fucking A right, cunt.
Not too bad. You're not too bad.
You're Canadian in there too.
Yeah, not the best, but definitely not the worst, man. Yeah, it is. Yeah. It seems to be always a hard one for Americans to do. I can't remember someone on a fairly recent show did a really bloody good job of it. I can't remember which one of the guys that was, but yeah, it's usually hard to struggle with.
Yeah.
It was, one of my American mates, he suggested that for the show, and it's been, shout out to my mate Brady Richard. He came up with that one, so yeah, that's been a fun thing to do. Cool, man, cool. Is there anything else you want to talk about before we wrap up?
I guess, one thing, because you brought up the vault earlier, I might need to write a petition into Davey Coombs, because I saw the other day, like last week or something, they changed the points rule. Yeah. And they're paying points in outdoor motos up to 21st now.
Okay.
And I have one moto that I've gotten 21st, and I didn't get a point because they didn't pay them. So I might have to write a petition to Davey Coombs and see if they can retroactively pay points for previous seasons. Yeah.
You got to weigh that up though, man, too, because that can screw up your Loretta's. You're going back to Loretta's, what classes you can enter too.
Yeah,
so I remember, how's that work? Because that's what screwed Kiefer. Kiefer's got 1 point. And it screwed him from...
I have no idea. I don't know how the Loretta stuff works. It changes every year, it seems like. Like 1 year if you've made a national, 1 year if you've earned points. But I think on my list of accomplishments, I would rather
have a point. Yeah.
I'd rather have a national point than go to Loretta's in a plus 30 class or something.
Yeah. Of course, yeah. That's right, yeah.
Yeah, I might send Davey a message on Instagram right now and see if they can retroactive pay some of those points.
Yeah, get stuck into it. Yeah, you better get a social campaign going to get Connor Olson his point.
I need to get Weege involved.
Yeah, that's right. Well, man, Weege, he's the voice of the sport, so you'll be able to get that.
Maybe I'll do it on Twitter instead of a message on Instagram. I'll let the world see it that I'm asking for it and see if Davey responds. Yeah, well, Weege has probably got the office next door, so probably
that'd be the go. Cool, man, excellent. Now, you probably haven't watched any episodes before, but I'll wrap up the show with a little bit of a sing along. There is no expectations to do it. But, it's just a funny fucking weird thing. There's a bit of a story to it. But do you know the chorus to Kenny Rogers, The Gambler?
I don't, not off the top of my head, but maybe if I hear it.
Man, I'll just set off, and if you want to join in, you just fucking jump on in. So I'll just do a little bit of The Gambler to finish the show.
Sounds good.
So I handed him my bottle, and he drank down my last swallow. Then he bummed a cigarette and asked me for a light. And the night got deathly quiet, and his face lost all expression. Said, if you're gonna play the game, boy, you gotta learn to play it right. You got to know when to hold 'em, know when to fold 'em, know when to walk away, know when to run. You never count your money. When you're sitting at the table, there'll be time enough for counting when the dealing's done. Cheers, man. Thank you very much, Connor, for coming on the show. And thank you to anybody who's listened.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
Cheers, man.